Hello, everybody, and welcome to Buffalo Bills Breakdown, sponsored by Rochester Flooring, Kitchen, and Bath. I'm Sal Maiorana with Leo Roth, and we are getting down to the nitty-gritty, Leo. It's week 15, and the Bills have, again, their biggest game of the year. Every one of them now is going to be their biggest game of the year, at least until they clinch a playoff berth.
Right.
And they've got the Steelers on Sunday Night Football. The Bills' first appearance on the game's biggest stage, as far as I'm concerned, at least weekly, is the Sunday night window. Since 2007, a memorable 56-10 loss to the Patriots, by the way. Hopefully this one won't go quite like that. I don't think it will. What do you think?
Well, if they don't win, Sal, I'm going to tell you what, the collars are going to get really tight. And they're going to be, really feeling it going into Foxborough to face the Patriots. So yesterday in the locker room in snowy Buffalo, they were just, the theme was they kind of, without saying it, they're still sticking with that one game at a time theme. If we win our next one, whatever has to take place takes care of itself. And it's true. They win and they're in, and they have to go down there and play their best football game of the season. They did. The theme here, Sal, has been kind of, hey, they played the Patriots tough, and they played Philly tough, and they played the Ravens tough. Well, but they didn't win any of those games.
That's right.
And this is the time now to really show they belong in that elite level, because, Sean McDermott was pretty blunt about it yesterday, saying that, 2017 was the time for moral victories and for saying we're really changing the culture. Year three, and he believes that he called it I love Sean. He called it we're complete with our transformative mindset. So whatever you want to read into that is
I'm not quite sure what to read into
basically
that.
It means that this is my take on it, is that it means that they've gone from the Bills have gone from hoping to win to expecting to win.
Right. And they should be at that point. They've been that way really all year since those first two games that went into New York and kind of set the tone for the whole season. Now, the problem is, though, Leo, we've talked about this all year. They really have not beaten, outside of Dallas, and I'm not even sure you can consider Dallas a quality opponent the way they've kind of fallen apart. They really have not beaten anybody of substance. They've piled up these 9 wins, and now they've faced this, which basically is a gauntlet at the end of the year. It started with Dallas, and they got past that. But now Baltimore, maybe the hottest team in the league, and now they're playing the Steelers, who, quite frankly, might be the second hottest team. Given that they've won 7 out of 8 games, and they've got to go on the road to do this in a game that's been flexed into the national TV window. To me, Leo, they need one more win, and it is going to be a battle to get it. I am still not confident that they're not going to go into Week 17 needing to win that game to get there, because these next 2 games are going to be brutally difficult.
Well, they're playing 2 really good defenses, and the issue in Buffalo right now is not defense, it's offense.
Right.
Josh Allen, and it's not to rip on Josh Allen, but he's a young quarterback, and he continues to show how young he is. Last week he played just horribly for 3/4 of that football game, and albeit against a very good defense. But this is what he's going to see again, a really good Steelers defense that in many ways is better. They lead the league in sacks and takeaways and stingy on points, and 10 first-round draft picks or something on that defensive unit. It's a really good defense, and worst off is that he won't have the crowd noise on his side.
No.
He's going to be going down into one of the toughest places to play on a nighttime stage as well. It's going to be. This is a really, really big test for Josh Allen. Now, to his credit, he's always bounced back. Bills haven't lost 2 games in a row. So,
I know. They have been able to bounce back after their losses. It was funny, we were talking on the radio just a little while ago. I didn't realize this, I guess, because they had beaten Pittsburgh in a playoff game in '93, if you recall. That was when Kelly was hurt right after the greatest comeback. They beat him down there. They haven't won a regular season game in Pittsburgh since 1975.
Wow.
They beat him in week 2. OJ ran for like 220-something yards. They haven't. I couldn't believe that when we were talking about it. I thought somewhere along the way they would have gotten one. But whenever they've beaten them, it's been in Buffalo. So they haven't won down there in 40-some years. So this will be a good time to break that streak because, like I said, Leo, they need to get this taken care of. The heat is going to start rising if they were 9-3 2 weeks ago, and if all of a sudden they're 9-5 and they have to go to the House of Horrors next week against the Patriots, where they really never win when Brady is on the field for the whole game. Now you're looking at a 3-game losing streak potentially, and it really gets turned up. So this is the game You're playing against Devlin Hodges, for crying out loud. They should be able to get, I would think, to do enough on offense to beat this team. I don't think Pittsburgh will be able to do much of anything on offense. They are getting two good players back, James Conner, the running back, and Juju Smith-Schuster, their best receiver. They've both been out for a while. They're both expected to play. So that's going to help the Steelers. But you look at the Steelers' numbers, Leo, with Mason Rudolph and now this guy, Hodges at quarterback, they've done nothing. I mean, we complain about the Bills' offense being kind of anemic at times. Oh, my God, this Steelers team does nothing but because of their defense.
But they have an excuse.
They're always in it.
They have an excuse. They lost Ben Roethlisberger.
Well, I know, not to mention Le'Veon Brown and Antonio Brown.
Yeah, and you know, we rag on the Bills for not beating anybody, but the Steelers really haven't beaten anyone either. They get to play in a division with Cleveland and Cincinnati.
Well, Cleveland's no stout. They beat
Buffalo.
the Bills. Cleveland did beat the Browns.
Yeah, so, but, you know, I guess I'm looking at their schedule. I think they've won, you know, in this winning streak of theirs, they have like 6 or 7 wins by a touchdown or less. So, I mean, this team does know how to win.
Yes.
They are incredibly coached. Mike Tomlin, obviously one of the best. We got to talk to him yesterday. He's just you know, it's the old thing, and a big theme yesterday was obviously Sean McDermott and Mike Tomlin are old college teammates, and they learned under Jimmy Laycock at William and Mary, which is one of the old historic, second oldest football program next to Harvard.
The former Marv Levy Hunt.
Yeah, right. So it's kind of and they learn this do it the right way blueprint is what they call it, and it's boring. It's fun to poke fun about at the process and all that stuff, but this is what they do. They're really, you know, Sean McDermott wants to do what Mike Tomlin has accomplished down in Pittsburgh, and that's being consistent with his message, consistent with his plan, consistent with everything. You know, I asked Tomlin specifically. I mean, when Ben Roethlisberger went down, what was the message to the team? He says, "I had no message.
Yeah,
I just stayed with what we always do. We play with the players we have, and we give them a game plan that's going to help them win the game."
I love the
simple football. Do it, and they do it.
I love McDermott's little subtle comment yesterday about how, you know, asked why he described why the Steelers have had such sustained success, and he said because Tomlin and the general manager have been given the opportunity to build this thing the right way. It's almost like telling the Pagulas, you know, stop changing coaches and GMs. Give me a chance to build this thing, and maybe we can get to where they are at some point. Well,
he's absolutely right. I mean, if you want to model a program, I mean, the Steelers are certainly a nice one to pick. Now, we've been down this road before, of course, with Tom Donahoe in the early 2000s, and they were going to build a program in the image. But unfortunately, Tom Donahoe could never get the quarterback.
Well, and he didn't pick the right head coaches either.
And he never got my second point. He
coach
never
and
got
head coach and quarterback, exactly.
So he started that churning every 3 years. He fired Greg Williams, and then it only went 2 with Malarkey there and all that other stuff. So yeah, you got to pick the right guys, and you got to keep them together.
Exactly.
And maybe in Buffalo here, I mean, you know, the marriage of Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane, maybe certainly. I mean, it's pretty hard to argue with the results to this point. If they're on the cusp of
going
two
to the playoffs.
2 playoffs in 3 years, maybe they got something going here. And again, it'll all go back to did they get the right quarterback, and that would be Josh Allen. And so this is just a huge stage for Josh. I mean, he was terrific on Thanksgiving Day.
And what was weird is that I really thought that Dallas defense was going to give him problems.
Yeah,
They've
absolutely.
got a lot of talented guys on that defense. And for whatever reason, the Bills had a great game plan that day. Josh Allen played, I think, probably his best game. Well, I take that back. He was better, what was it, the previous week before Baltimore, whatever. No, that was, the Cowboys game.
Denver?
No, the Cowboys game. That was his best game. 19-24 that day. The Bills moved the ball. They were in the no huddle. It was a great day for him. And they
absolutely.
That was their biggest moment of the year. Again, though, against a defense that I thought was probably not as. I didn't think they were going to be like that. I thought Dallas would be better than that. There's not going to be any different. There's not going to be any doubt.
I think the Ravens' defense is better than Dallas, and this Pittsburgh defense is better than the Ravens.
This defense is better than the Ravens.
Yes,
that's the worrisome part.
Yeah. Now, in New England, their defense is number 1 in points and yards. I don't know how they're doing it. They're also doing it against a schedule very similar to Buffalo's. Yeah. They're on a 2-game slide here too. You know, the New England. You know, they're not going to be catching if it comes down to that New England game again. If they lose this one, they're not going to be catching New England with resting Brady and
No.
they got things sewed up.
kidding me?
They're in the fight of their lives down there, and Brady's in the fight of his swan song season.
They're trying to hang on to a first-round bye. I mean,
Yeah.
right now
So-
they're in that position,
Yeah.
but they lost to both Houston and Kansas City. If they were to slip up, they could get out. They could fall out of that first-round bye, which would be so nice.
So back to
They
this
have to
game,
watch
Sal. If
Brady
you're
play.
talking, you made the point earlier. Is that yes? Now the offensive. You know the big difference in this game. Hey, two good defenses. The Bills have the edge offensively, but can they do it on the road in a really hard place to win?
Well, and they have done it on the road. They've won 5 out of 6. They've
Yeah,
actually
they're
been
5-1,
better on
yeah.
the road than they have at home, quite frankly. So I think they can do
Yeah.
it. We talked about the Ravens defense being, I said it last week, and Lamar Jackson got all the headlines, but this defense is going to be a bear for the Bills, and it certainly was. I think this defense that they're playing this week is even better than Baltimore's. Lead the league in sacks, lead the league in turnovers. They're top 5 or 6 in all the other categories that we look at, points allowed, yards allowed, all that stuff. Really, really good unit, and this is why the Steelers are where they are. This team is 8-5 with one of the worst offenses in football. If you look at their numbers, Leo, it's. I mean, and
I
again,
know.
they've been missing some people. Clearly, Roethlisberger #1, but this team does nothing on offense. Devlin Hodges has been a fun story because he's the duck call guy and he's won his first 3 NFL starts. But he hasn't exactly been lighting it up. It's not like he's, Deshaun Watson out there. He's been pretty average.
But as
and
opposed
mediocre.
to Mason Rudolph, he's
Way better than him.
He's playing clean football.
That was the worst thing that could happen to the
not
Bills.
turning it over. Yeah,
Mason Rudolph getting benched was a bad thing for the Bills. That
'cause
guy stinks.
I'm not impressed with Rudolph, especially after the Myles Garrett fiasco.
But even still, this is Devlin Hodges for crying out loud. He played.
I know that.
Didn't even play at a division. Well, he played at the FCS level. What's called
Samford. Yeah.
Samford. So it's not even a Division I college. And there's been stories like this through the NFL, but very rarely at quarterback has a guy like that come in and had a great career. He's on a nice little run right now because, again, he's playing with this great defense. But you made the point. Buffalo's offense is better than Pittsburgh's. The Bills have to go in there and make a few plays against a really good defense. And if they do that and play relatively clean, don't cough it up like they did last week at their own 25-yard line, which cost them a touchdown. They do that, they can win the game. There's no excuse not to win this game because of these next 2 games. This is the one they got to get because I don't think they're going into New England. I never think they're going there to win, and I will never pick the Bills ever until Belichick and Brady are gone to win a game there. So they better get it done Sunday.
You certainly have history on your
you think?
on your side. Yeah, you think?
They beat Jacoby Brissett and they beat
Brady played a half.
Brady played a half, and that game, the game meant nothing to the Patriots. I don't count those as victories for the Bills.
They go in their cell in Pittsburgh. I mean, like we started off with, I believe me, the collars will be really tight if they lose this game, and they are, like you said. And if it comes down to that Jets game at home, the last game to get in, I'm going to tell you what, it's.
We've seen that road show.
The Jets are dangerous. They have nothing to lose. They're going to come in here. It could happen.
Absolutely.
It could happen, and then you're looking at, oh boy, what the hell
You and I
happened?
have seen it happen.
Yeah.
When they lost to the Steelers that year, it's the game that no Bills fan will ever forget. And, I hate to bring it up, but it's very possible that if they do get on a 3-game, and we're jumping ahead here, I know. But if they get on a 3-game losing streak and they have to win that Jets game, the Jets are going to come in here loaded for bear. They would love. Remember a few years ago,
the Bills knocked them out.
The Bills screwed the Jets in the last game of the year. They would love to. Nobody's left from that team probably, but they would love to turn that around. So the Bills have got to get it done this week. Josh Allen, what do you make, Leo, of his struggles against the blitz? Because I think what's going to happen, the Steelers are going to come after him. They saw what Baltimore can do. They have very similar talent, I think, on defense that could get that job done. His 3 worst games were the losses to the Patriots, the Eagles, and the Ravens. And in all 3 of those games, as I wrote about today, those teams put the heat on him.
Yeah.
And the Bills' offensive line didn't hold up. And Allen, of course, with the game quickened so much, didn't make good decisions, good throws. Those were the 3 only times that he's been under 50% completion. Only 3 games he was less than 160 yards passing. So this is a trend, and Mike Tomlin has picked up on this. They're going to bring it on Sunday night.
Well, the Ravens are, they're a blitz defense. They lead the league in blitzes. That's what they do. They were going to do it. They blitz almost half half the plays.
More than half the plays.
Yeah, well,
52
probably after that game. I thought it was 48%.
No, they were going in 52%.
Okay, so
more than half they blitzed.
And they also had a great scheme. I remember watching it. They would bring guys up to the line. You didn't know. Josh a lot of times didn't know if they were backing off or coming.
Right.
They didn't blitz like right. They really disguised what they were doing well, and they sent guys and. The line struggle and Josh struggle. Now a key to the blitz, and it's you got to hit a pass right away. You got to hit something right away to back them off and make them pay. Josh said as much after the game. He didn't hit any of those things.
No, he didn't.
And they weren't the issue we were talking about a week or two ago about how he can't hit the long ball. We're not talking bombs. You got to hit any pass, and he couldn't hit any pass. He started off, I think it was 0 for 4 on third down passes. And they were punt, and then it set the tone. And then the Baltimore just keep doing it.
Well, they couldn't beat it, so they kept doing it.
So this team, and the thing with this team, Sal, with the Steelers can get there, maybe with their 4 or 5. They don't really have to bring a lot.
You're right. They don't need to blitz the way Baltimore did.
They got Watt, they got Dupree, they got guys that can get there as well. And then you got great cornerbacks. You got Minka Fitzpatrick, who's rediscovered his whole life, it seems, since he got out of Miami.
Well,
so
he didn't exactly rediscover his life. He's only his second year in the league.
Well, whatever. He's much happier, and he's playing.
He's much happier. That's
and
for
he's
sure.
playing to his potential. And
he has been. They've said that he was the difference, though. When they brought him in, he's
well,
made
what do
all
you do?
the difference.
And you put him on John Brown now.
Well, no, he's a safety. He's not playing.
So he's. But that whole secondary is really good.
Yeah, well, they got Joe Hayden, so he'll be
Hayden
on John Brown probably. Leo, what drove me nuts last week in the Baltimore game? I didn't understand with all the pressure that Allen was under. They couldn't stop the blitz. He was constantly under siege. Why they didn't go to a quicker type passing game earlier in this game. And this, again, I've been harping on this thing since the moment they signed Cole Beasley, that I thought he was going to be Allen's favorite target on these third down plays where you've got to get the first down. And all game long, he kept trying to throw the ball downfield, whether it was to John Brown or Dawson Knox. Sometimes he had Beasley going on the one deep route for sure that he dropped the ball. I don't understand why Dable can't get this schemed up where when you've got 3rd and 5 in a huge moment in the game, Cole Beasley, if you watch the film, I guarantee you he's going to be open immediately. Now, the defense might eventually close because it's going to be a quick separation, but I don't know why John Brown in the Cleveland game and then in this game last week, why he was the number 1 read on the biggest play of the game, on the 4th down play that you had to complete. Meanwhile, Cole Beasley in the Cleveland game and in the Baltimore game got open immediately and would have been available to get the first down. I don't understand why they don't
Beasley
look to
was open on the touchdown last week against the Ravens and the 2-point conversion, I think, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there, this guy can
boom,
do
boom,
it.
and he does it. So yeah, right. A quick passes as well will diffuse a blitz. I don't know how much the Steelers are going to blitz. Obviously they're going to dial a lot up, but like I said, if they can get there without doing that, and then they can smother the receivers.
They've got 48 sacks.
So
no matter how they do it, they're going to get
there. They
there.
do it. Yeah, they will get there.
So the Bills have got to be ready for it. The offensive line did not play well. I talked to a couple guys Sunday after the game. They admitted it. They knew it was coming, and they were kind of powerless to stop it. So again, you're right. The Steelers may not come all out with 6 or 7 like the Ravens did occasionally, but the Steelers are going to be in the backfield, and Allen is going to have better answers than
the other guy. It's not just Beasley. The other guy is Singletary. Where's the screen passes?
They don't.
They don't.
You know what? I don't think
they don't have a really great. They don't have a.
I'm trying to figure
dynamic
out
screen game. They've thrown them, but
I'm trying to figure out with Dable why he doesn't incorporate that more. And I keep coming back to maybe he doesn't think his offensive line is athletic enough to get out there quick enough to do it. I mean, Dawkins is kind of a plotter. Quentin Spain certainly is a plotter. Really, the only guys who can do it, I think, are Feliciano and Morse. Those guys, I think, could get out in space, and I think maybe that's why he shies away from it, because he knows he doesn't have the guys to get out there in front of the screen.
Well, I think
that's what I'm going. It may not be true, but that's my theory on why they don't.
I mean,
use
as
more
lines
screens.
go, I think the Bills are pretty athletic. Certainly. Well, he did try to get Singletary out in space a lot of times on that quick running back screen singled up on a DB.
But that's not a true screen, though.
That's not a screen.
That's not what we saw, for instance, from Dallas throwing screens.
That's a wide receiver, boom.
Right.
And the problem was that some of the passes are into the ground or over Singletary's. A lot of it comes back to Josh. Just really, you talk about, Dable's not necessarily dialing up the ball to go to John Brown. It's, Josh has the ability to go where he wants with it.
That's
He's
the
not,
read that he always seems to go.
He doesn't
to John
have. Well,
Brown.
that's a Brown is a safety blanket. Obviously, they've had a good chemistry this year.
Here's the thing with
But there's
John
got to be
Brown.
more. And then I tell you what, and Dawson Knox could be so much more of a valuable weapon, but he's been really unreliable.
Yes.
He'll drop the simplest patch and then make the greatest catch. So
Yeah, I know.
he's pretty frustrating.
What I'm seeing from John Brown, Leo, is that I think he's really good at running routes and he can get himself open. And if you get the ball to him, obviously he's going to catch it. I don't think John Brown is the kind of guy who's going to win one-on-one battles. He's not going to win the contested catches. And last week he was one-on-one with Marcus Peters. He really didn't run a great route. I watched it again. It was a kind of a deliberate route and by the time he had finally made his break, Peters was all over it. Peters knew exactly where he was going, and it really was an easy deflection.
It was
that happened in our end, so we got a good look at it.
Yeah.
That couldn't have been an easier pass defense on that play. So I think John Brown, again, he's a guy who can get open, and if you throw it to him, he'll catch it. In that situation, I would much prefer Beasley because Beasley's going to get separation, and then he's going to haul it in.
I was talking to him yesterday. Brown's not that tall, is he?
No, he's a short guy. He's not a physical guy at all.
And that's the whole point. There was no high point on the last play last week. There was no high point ball. He couldn't throw. I mean, Allen didn't throw it and have Randy Moss go up and get it. Again, maybe why not choose someone else? Why not go a taller tight end or Robert Foster or.
This has long been one of the weaknesses of the Bills. They've never had that big physical receiver. And folks, Duke Williams is not it. So stop with the Duke Williams. He is not the answer to this problem, but they have not had that guy forever.
Duke Williams is a cult figure.
He really is.
Fans love that. I mean, they love the whole Canadian football thing.
I know.
He'd be a great story, but he was a great story for like 5 seconds this season.
Yeah.
And it's just not happening.
There's
guys.
always a Duke Williams or a Brandon Riley or some wide receiver that people fall in love with can't play.
Moving down the road, it remains. The receiver is still a need for this team.
It is. It definitely is.
That type of receiver. Tall, winning high point balls, benefit Josh. All those corner routes, you got to have the right athlete to run those kinds of plays.
This team can't throw a fade. It's not possible. Yeah. They have nobody that can go catch a fade, which is okay because I hate that play.
You hate that play.
I'm actually glad they don't have that guy because they'd probably throw it 5 times a game. All right, so let's wrap this up, Leo. What do you think the Bills on offense have to do against this team? What do you think is going to be the key to them winning this game?
Run the ball. I don't want to see, no offense to the Frank Gore fans out there. I don't want to see Frank Gore plow himself into this big line and just waste plays. You got to run Singletary a lot. You got to get Singletary into space. You got to use Singletary as a really key player here.
Yep, I agree.
You mentioned Beasley. They got to find him on that quick separation plays. Chunk, just dink it down the field if you have to, and possess this ball, control the tempo. And that's the whole key of this thing is the Bills' offense.
It is.
It's the Bills' offense. If somehow, and Buffalo's D is as good as it is, and it is good. I mean, it is probably going to give up 10 points, 13 points. I mean, it's so silly. And if the Bills' offense can't score, more than 13, Sal, or get up into that range. I mean, I'm looking at it really a 17-14 thing.
Exactly.
Maybe that might be really pushing it.
Here's something that I would like to see. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would have Frank Gore inactive this week, and I would play T.J. Yeldon. I don't really understand. I mean, I get Gore's a Hall of Famer, and it would probably be a blow to his ego to have him inactive in a big game like this. They love him as a leader, a culture guy, and all that. The guy's shot. He can't play. He had a nice little run early in the year. Singletary was hurt, and he did provide the Bills with some punch there, which was nice. He hasn't got it anymore. It's done. T.J. Yeldon, we just talked about this, how they need something quick and short in the passing game. This was why they signed T.J. Yeldon in the first place.
He was the screen guy.
This is all he did at Jacksonville. He wasn't a ball carrier. He was a pass catcher on third down. They haven't used him all year in that role. He's been inactive for probably 8 straight games. If I'm the Bills, I would take a look, and I know they're not going to do it. I'm barking at the moon here.
Wouldn't that be
they're
great,
not going to make Gore inactive. I would play T.J. Yeldon.
Great idea, Sal. Get him, and the Steelers have no tape on this guy. He hasn't played.
Exactly. See if they could get him involved in a short passing game and move the sticks that way. It would be something different. Again, the Steelers haven't seen it. Maybe somebody else is it. Maybe you have Gore active to protect his ego and deactivate D. Marlowe or some other special team schlub that you really don't need. But this is a move that I think they should make because I think they've kind of wasted TJ Yeldon all year. Might be the right time to do
I
it.
thought you were going to say you want to see a lot of Duke Williams.
Yeah, let's bring in Duke Williams to get beat on by this Pittsburgh secondary. All right, Leo and I are going down there Sunday for the Bills Steelers game, 8:20 Sunday night football. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, and Michelle Tafoya.
Yeah, big show.
It's a big show, big stage for the Bills. It's funny that they flexed this game, Leo, and I was thinking immediately, like, this is not going to be a game America is going to be too thrilled with, because this is going to be a rock'em sock'em, low-scoring, I think probably boring.
I think we're looking at some field goals.
Yeah, it's
a couple of field goals a team, and then if one team scores a touchdown,
yeah, that's going to be the difference.
That's going to be
probably.
enough.
So I hope you enjoy that kind of game, America, because you're about to get it. All right, for Leo, I am Sal. We're signing off. We'll be back here next week at DemocratandChronicle.com. Have a great weekend.